Hey guys, what's up? In this video, I am super excited to talk about some new amazing updates that Figma has introduced in Schema 2025. So let's have a look at it. So the first update that I want to talk about are extended collections. Now, this is not going to be applicable for most people because this particular feature is only going to be available in the enterprise plans. But what this basically means is that you can duplicate your collections while still maintaining a link to the original collection. What does that mean? That basically means that you would be able to basically switch on different modes based on the different types of extended collections that you have. Now, what does that actually mean? That actually means something like this. Let's study this particular UI that we have. Now, imagine you have all of these variables defined at the theme level, and then you have extended collections, two types of extended collections defined for brand number 2 and brand number 3. What these do is these basically copy all of the variables, the 181 total variables that are coming from your theme, and allows you to override some of them. Like for example, the neutral colors in brand number 2 that you have selected are going to remain the same because you don't want to update the neutrals. But maybe you actually want to go ahead and update the brand colors for this brand 2 to be something else. So what you're going to do is you're going to come to the brand 2, you're going to select brand 2, and you're optionally going to go ahead and just update these colors only for this particular brand. You can keep the green colors and the positive or the danger or any other colors like the positive, warning, danger, disabled, utilities, all the same, but the override is only going to be on this particular brand colors. So that's going to basically allow you to switch these brand colors along with the light and dark mode. And if you want to visually see how that's going to look, like for example, if you have 4 brands, similar to how Figma has different types of brands for their different types of products. Like for example, they have a design brand, they have dev mode, they have FigJam, and then they have slides. All of these 4 different products in Figma have different colors, right? Even if I go right now to Figma, as you can see in FigJam, they have a purple color at the top. In Figma, they have a blue color at the top. So that basically determines how some of the things and some of the branding colors that these are going to have. So you would be able to select, okay, which brand am I working on, and then the mode for that brand. And you can similarly do that for any single thing, and those things would remain. And then you wouldn't basically have to duplicate the variables or even the modes to maintain that, because previously what we were doing is we would basically have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and I think 16 modes, because you're going to have a design light, design dark. Then you're going to have a dev mode light, dev mode dark. Then you're going to have FigJam light, FigJam dark. And you would basically be duplicating all of those different modes. And then it's going to be very hard to maintain. Whereas now you don't really have to do that. Additionally, one other thing that I do want to point out in this particular screenshot is that since these are not linked to the brand number 2, you haven't overridden them. If you go into the theme option or the theme collection and you update slate 700, like the default color slate 700 to be slate 800 for the light mode, it would basically translate across brand 2, brand 3, brand 4. It doesn't matter how many brands you have, because those are inheriting the colors that are not overridden. So I think it's a pretty powerful feature. Unfortunately, I think it's only going to be available in the most paid plan, which is the enterprise plan. So for most normal users like myself, we probably wouldn't even get to use it. Anyways, let's head on to the next one. So the next thing that I'm most excited about, actually this is something that I'm extremely excited about in this whole event, are slots. You can actually convert any empty area into slot, and then you can insert different types of components within it. So you now don't have to make a single component and then make sure to have different types of variants within it. No, just a single component, and you can basically make a slot within that component, and any component that you have within the system can be inserted as an instance into that particular component, which is pretty insane. So what this person does in this particular demo, and obviously all rights to Figma and FigJam or whoever or Schema for the actual video, but again, they're trying to drag these components that they have created or instances of this component into this area. And this area is a component, like the sidebar panel is a component. So how do they do that? Person can just select this, they can right click, and they can either click the plus button at the top or they can click convert to slot. And when they do that, they basically have this area that's droppable, and they can define what type of components can actually be there. Like for example, obviously any components can come there, but they can actually even define like the preferred values, like any preferred components that they want to show there on that particular screen, which I think is pretty interesting. So now when they have this particular component selected as a preferred component, they can actually click on the area or the component that they want to drag it to. They can see that there's a pink area where they can drag components into. They can click on that plus button and they can select different types of components from here, or they can see the preferred components that their designers or we have listed out, and they can just click that to add that in. And not only that, what's really important is that a slot does not only mean that you can only have one item inside of it, but they can even go ahead and duplicate that particular component. Or I'm imagining you can have multiple types of components, different types of instances of different components within a particular slot as well, which is pretty insane and extremely powerful. So super excited about this feature. And one good thing about this feature, it actually rolls out to all plans. Hey guys, what's up? Okay, and the next thing that we have in the conference was check designs. Now what this basically is a basic linter. It checks, hey, are you using the correct font? Are you using the correct colors and stuff along those lines? If something is detached, it's going to recommend you something, and for spacing and stuff along those lines. I think it's pretty okay, but it's not really revolutionary because we have plugins like that already. Just some awesome updates to performance in Figma. So before, they actually had something like this where frames just took a lot of time to load, but as you can see, the after screen was done in, let's say, half of the time or something along those lines. I think like they mentioned a 3x time improvement or something along those lines. I don't remember. Very similarly, you can actually have a look at prototypes and state change. They're much more smoother in the after variant, so they're doing a live comparison, I'm assuming, as well, which we would be able to have a look at. And then publishing is also much faster. It's also less error prone, so hopefully it's going to be a real huge improvement. I know, at least for me, if these improvements do actually give us that time back. In the end, I'll just share some quick highlights that they talked about, which were make kits. Now what are make kits? Make kits allow you to actually go ahead and publish your components from Figma and actually have them actual live components that you can use when you're actually creating your designs in Figma Make. Now I know I haven't made a lot of videos for Figma Make, but you can actually have a look at that. So for example, here's a button component. You can actually go ahead and ask Figma Make to change the button component to do something, to go ahead and create certain designs with these components, so on and so forth. You can actually build, like for example, take a design that currently exists in Figma and say that, hey, I've attached this particular design in Figma, and you can also attach the library that you actually want to use to create. Now, actually, let me just go back. You can attach a library that you want Figma Make to use while creating or converting this design to an actually production ready design, and then it's going to go ahead and actually create that design based on the components that you have created in your Figma Make kit. So those are some improvements they've done. They also went ahead and did a bunch of improvements in terms of coding and in terms of, like, again, getting actual details from Figma much better and having them implemented live within the application as well. So they have a bunch of those things as well. This is the general availability of these features. Like for example, this week we're going to have variable modes. Actually, they increased variable modes as well. So we now have, I think, 10 variable modes in the Pro plan and in the organization plan, and 20 variable modes in the enterprise plan or something along those lines. Then we have new code connect UI, component mapping suggestions, AI generated code snippets, MCP instructions, so on and so forth. Next month, we have extended collections, variables import and export, which we previously did not have. They actually introduced that as well. Variables, authoring improvements, and NPM package import. Now, what is the NPM package import? So with NPM packages import, what you can do is, if you already have certain packages for your libraries and stuff along those lines outside of Figma Make, you can also go ahead and actually directly import them by using an NPM import. You can actually have a package JSON. You can go ahead and it's going to go ahead and import that particular thing if it already exists outside. So imagine all of the packages that are currently available in the Node package manager. You can import all of these directly in your Figma Make because they have provided us the package.json file, which is pretty amazing. So I'm pretty excited for all of these updates, and I hope to see them and use them really soon, and then make an extended video about any of these if you're interested. So that's going to be pretty much it for this video. Do subscribe to hit the bell icon, and I'll see you in the next one. And apologies for not making videos sooner. I have been busy, but I plan to actually make much more videos starting this week. So hopefully every week I'm going to try to actually have at least one video, and I hope to see you guys there. And do share what you actually would like to see in some of the other videos coming up.